You can't go outside or you're going to get shot.
This goes on and on.
On and on, never stopping.
Just last month, a 20-year-old woman was brutally gunned down in New York, shot in the head while she pushed her 3-month-old child in a stroller.
It was a domestic violence thing. It wasn't random. It wasn't like now all New Yorkers have to live in fear. They didn't all fuck this guy. They weren't all in a relationship with him. They didn't all try to, by the way, get ignored by some of the people that were supposed to help them.
In Chicago last week,
but again, that's random. Like, he's presenting that as if it was random. People are just walking up and like that one that happened on the subway up there was fucked up. That's a real one. That's, you know, but it was a Goldman Sachs dude, so he can't bring that one up. He's got to bring up the woman that was killed by her former partner.
5-month-old baby girl was shot by a savage killer while riding in a car, in the backseat of a car. Did it for fun. Killed the baby for fun.
No, he shot into the car for fun. He didn't give a fuck. It's not like he was like, there's a baby.
In New Orleans, earlier this year, a 73-year-old woman was left dead after being carjacked by 4 teenage hoodlums.
Hoodlums? All right. I thought we were going to get through these horror stories without laughing. I'm sorry. That was a really sad story, but somehow hoodlums? Hoodlums.
For fun. In New Orleans, earlier this year, a 73-year-old woman was left dead after being carjacked by 4 teenage hoodlums.
Hoodlums. Hoodlums. All right. They're, yeah. Well, if they're caught, I hope they go to the hooskow.
These were rough, too. These were bad hoodlums. These
bad hoodlums.
Were bad ones. She was caught in the seatbelt, dragged for more than a block and a half, and was ultimately severed from life.
Her arm came off, severed from life. He doesn't even, that's a horrible fucking story. But at the same time, like, severed from life?
Limbs falling off.
Limbs falling off. She didn't collapse, motherfucker. Her arm was caught in the car, and then she was run over by it, and her arm came off. It was terrible. People were panicking. It was very sad. It's a terrible fucking thing. They were arrested later. Well, she didn't fall apart like the Tin Man.
People watched it.
People watched it, and they did nothing.
Nobody acted.
Yes, they did. The fuck are you talking about? They ran towards her. They were putting pressure on the wound. She passed away. Her fucking arm came off.
Except for a very brave police officer.
This is a story he's talking about. One of the most grotesque, surreal, horrific things I've ever seen. There's something really wrong when you have to walk outside your house this part of your day, that some woman is getting dragged down the street. This is a woman who was watching. Monday afternoon in Austin, Northcott, knew something was wrong in his mid-city neighborhood. I heard screaming like you're about to die sort of a scream, just not a normal scream. Those screams were from a 73-year-old woman, Linda Frickey, who police said was carjacked and dragged to death by her own SUV. Witnesses say it happened when a vehicle pulled up next to her in the 300 block. It's just heartbreaking to see that. Witnesses say Frickey caught in her seatbelt and was dragged as her SUV sped off on Bienville Avenue, steps away from Mark and Leanne Masker's front door. I just started screaming and running because I just wanted to go to this, get this person from this car. And if I could do that, I could help this person. This is Leanne Masker. Police say Frickey's arm eventually detached from her body just more than a block away, North Pierce Street, freeing her from the SUV. Neighbors ran over to try and help. She was still breathing. She was very slow breathing. I tried to call 911 to Todd Eckert, who witnessed the woman be dragged. Unfortunately, the phone rang for 4 minutes and 45 seconds before I hung up. Eckert says somebody eventually got through. The maskers said it took 10 to 15 minutes for paramedics to get there. She's still breathing. I can feel a pulse. The anger was like, where the hell is the ambulance? I kept hearing loads of cops show up, but no ambulance. When an ambulance did show up, paramedics pronounced the woman dead, leaving folks in this neighborhood horrified and police searching for 4 suspects. They didn't just steal a car. They murdered somebody today, said Mark Masker. The whole fucking neighborhood came to help. Listen to the way this asshole tells his story. Just a straight up fucking lie.
Severed from life.
Severed from life.
Limbs falling off.
Limbs falling off. Just her foot. Like, fucking hell.
People watched it. Nobody acted.
Bullshit. Again, fuck you. How is that okay? How is Americans, maggots, I know there's a couple of you out there. How is it okay that he shits on your fellow Americans like that? Who did everything they could? Get the fuck.
Except for a very brave police officer.
Bullshit. Again, all of them were acting. All of them were trying to save her. People were calling 911. They were putting pressure on the wound. They were trying to keep her alive.
Literally thousands of Americans are dead today because of the nationwide increase in murders since the left began.
Well, yes, I will say that murder is a fairly permanent way to die.
It's to fund the police crusade. Democrat-run cities.
Yes, with most of the crime. Also most of the coffee. Most of the businesses. Pay most of the taxes. Most of the humans.
The blood of these victims is almost exclusively in these Democrat strongholds. Babies are being killed. Elderly women are being shot in the face and being raped.
Good fucking God.
Elderly women are...
Now, when did that start? Probably when Biden took office. They were like, wow, he's old. Let's do this.
Being raped.
Jesus Christ.
Children are being knife stabbed and disfigured.
Knife stabbed? Okay, well, at least, they're using the proper utensils. I'm not going to take this asshole seriously, so pardon me if I'm flip with some of this stuff, but these things are too serious to take what he's saying seriously about them.
As a candidate,
knife stabbed.
Joe Biden helped lead his party's vile campaign against our police officers. And
there is no such thing. Garbage, nonsense, bullshit, lies, goofy, stupid.
Then he carried the rioters' agenda straight into the White House.
The rioters' agenda straight into the White House. You mean like police reform and racial justice?
Biden has sadly pushed to end qualified immunity. You know what that is?
No, he hasn't.
Police officers, a declaration of war on law enforcement. In other words...
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay, the orders can choose let's see, improving data collection, revising things, and then and try to find the line in it. Sure. Yeah, here you go. This is the ACLU's take on it. Just read this against, just think about what he just said. The Biden administration's executive order on policing is a foundation to build on. News and commentary from the ACLU. 2 years after the murder of George Floyd, a new executive order on police reform offers a starting place, but does not go far enough. That's because he can't do it on his own. He's limited in what he can do. So shut the fuck up and get him more Democrats in the House and Senate, or just get used to the idea that he will either have to do this by executive order, which will limit what he can do, or everything that they try to do legislatively will just get punted down because you fuckers left him hanging out to dry. Okay, so improving data collection on bad cops and deaths in police custody, all that kind of stuff. Revising use of force standards, limiting the use of no-knock entries, limiting the militarization of law enforcement, credentialing of police agencies. You have to have proper training, blah, blah, blah. Leveraging federal grants. You can't get the money unless your people are up to snuff. Improving crisis response to include alternatives. Now, there's a bunch of other, like, it should have done this, and it should have done this, and it should have done this. And way down here at the bottom of the article, legislative action, by the way. See this? Legislative action is also needed to eliminate the judicial doctrine of qualified immunity that drastically reduces the legal liability of police officers. By the way, that is never going to happen. The fight to get rid of qualified immunity is fucking a recipe for chaos. Otherwise, like, cops just aren't ever going to stop a fleeing suspect. The amount of, like, death and mayhem that will happen if that happens is just off the charts. Qualified immunity limits the circumstance in which an individual can sue a police officer for violating the civil rights only to situations where the behavior violates clear established law. This strict legal standard curtails the accountability in policing to such a degree that it offers few repercussions. Blah, blah, blah. The reason that the ACLU is saying this, by the way, in here is because Biden isn't pushing it, isn't doing it, because everybody knows that there was a reason it was created in the first place. It was actually an answer in some ways to Miranda, because on the one hand, Miranda gave victims more rights, or, you know, of police brutality, for example, or suspects more rights in certain circumstances. But it also created an actual criminal-sided imbalance in a lot of cases, where the cops, they not only were able to shut up about this stuff and just basically lock out their ability to, you know, to be questioned or these kind of things, in comparison to what they could accuse the cops of doing in the first place, which the cops did not have the opportunity to have sort of a Miranda-like situation. They had to ask questions. They had to be engaged. They had to deal with this person. And then this person, just go watch the original Dirty Harry was a film directly reflective. In many ways, like Smokey and the Bandit and Cannonball Run are a response, social response to the 55 national speed limit. That the original Dirty Harry is about Miranda. Go watch it again.
Let the policeman go out and hire his own lawyer and protect himself, because we don't give a damn about them.
Yeah, that's not how it works anyways.
And that's what's happening. And
no, it isn't.
That's what's happening.
And that's what's happening now. Right, Raj?
With crime.
With crime. Which is our topic tonight.
A man slashed police access to surplus. Think of this. We have
a man slashed police access to surplus because Biden said they can't have surplus military gear. A man.
Happening, and that's what's happening
with crime.
With crime.
With crime.
A man slashed police access to surplus. Think of this. We had surplus equipment that I made available, and they took it away, and they took it back because it looked too militaristic. This was equipment that was sitting in warehouses all over the country, billions and billions of dollars. It was just getting old and tired and dusty.
Yes, and it was unnecessary for law enforcement. They had better options, better suited to rural and urban engagement. And unloading this shit on these police departments, they had to maintain it. It burst their budgets, and it wasn't fucking useful.
And we were paying lots of rent to probably a lot of friends of government.
So we thought, why not get those rent payments off of my budget and put it on the backs of local police
and
make them store it.
I took that equipment and I gave it away to all of the police departments all over the country. Now they're taking it back from the police departments because they think it looks too militaristic. Much of it is safety equipment so that policemen and women can live.
Policemen and women.
Joe Biden signed an executive order effectively defunding police departments and staffed his administration with...
No, he didn't. Let's see. Here's what the executive order included. Here's what it is. Effectively. Improving data collection, revising use of force standards, limiting the use of no-knock entries, limiting the militarization of law enforcement. That would be his I'm guessing that's where he's using a term of art to go with the defunding, by taking back useless gear. Credentialing in police agencies, the Attorney General will develop and implement a process by which state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies will seek accreditation by an independent entity. Setting a federal standard. Leveraging federal grants. Federal discretionary grants will be awarded to state, local, and tribal governments to encourage compliance with the executive order. This will include an assessment of what discretionary grants will be limited to law enforcement that achieve accreditation. So they're going to, if you meet these standards, you'll get more money. They didn't take any away. Fuck, this is dumb.
With an army of anti-police radicals.
Radicals. I'm sorry, with the who?
Joe Biden signed an executive order effectively defunding police departments and staffed his administration with an army of anti-police radicals.
Radicals. Those are the worst. Anti-police radicals? It's true. You got to be aware of this, people. Don't suffer and succotash.
Job number one for a new Republican Congress will be to stop this extreme agenda.
That isn't happening. Hey, what an easy job it is.
Right in its tracks. We want law.
Right in its trash. Uh-oh. The teeth are starting to slip.
Law and order. And then we need to elect a Republican president in 2024 to bring Joe Biden's reign of lawlessness to an end.
It's not gonna be you. It's not gonna be you. You've got no fucking chance in the world. Look at that miserable look on your face. You're sad and lonely. You're a big fucking loser. And you're never going to be near the levers of power again. Never. Magoo. He liked the song. Hi, how are you? Get this charade going. Look at that. Oh, God, I can't. Oh, God.